On this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast, hobbits, fraggles, elves, sexy panthers. Is it a con or is it the title of Liz's next sex tape?
And here's to evil skanks. Let's do this.
Welcome to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. I'm Diana.
And I'm Liz.
And we're going to talk about Season 10, Episode 17, Inside Man.
Inside Man.
Yeah, so we got a little bit of a fun going on here with all us talking about, ailments and travel, but we'll just probably jump into this episode this week.
You don't want to talk about...
Oh, we can.
No?
No, we can. Yeah, my knee surgery.
I mean, in stuff that's coming up, or my week, you just want to skip talking. This is the only time I get to talk to anybody all week, Diana.
No, you're going to talk about it afterwards because you'll have all the fun stories to tell after. That's what I was going to say.
Okay.
But we can talk too now. But yeah, I had knee surgery, so I'm on the drugs, so don't listen to me.
Okay. You're kind of hurting my feelings here, so...
No, tell me all about. You've got a lot of fun stuff coming up.
Yeah, no. So this week I've been preparing to go on a trip, but that wasn't what I was going to talk about because I talk about other things. Why do you assume you know what I'm going to talk about before this? So things have been going on since the last time we recorded. So this is a question I have: how much detail does the FedEx man need to know about my life?
Very little.
Yeah, so yesterday I was receiving a package from the FedEx man. And it's one of the FedEx mans so I'm trying not to give away. I guess it doesn't really matter. If you want to figure out where I live, that's up to you. But so there's a big house and a little house. So some people understand that there's a driveway, and so it probably makes sense to go to the other doors rather than climbing up the big stair to go to the front. But anyways, so the FedEx guy comes out to the middle, and I call him to come over to the little house, and he has now looked in the big house, and I see him looking in there, right? And the thing is there's nothing in the living room, and there's nothing in the dining room or kitchen because it's all demolished.
It's vacant, so currently, mostly
the first floor looks pretty empty. And so then he starts asking me, "Oh, so your family lives in the smaller house and nobody lives in the big house?" And I was like, "Well, somebody kind of."
Not exactly, sir.
And I'm he's like, "Yeah, because I see, there are dogs there," and I'm like, how much detail do I tell this? Because I'm there's there's another person
there's
who
a resident.
lives in this. There's a resident who lives there and I'm like, what if you're a pervert? Are you trying? Because he's like, yeah, I've seen this girl. I've seen a girl there before. I'm like, what? And so that was what I want to talk about today before we got started was how much even if it's Dean Winchester with a fake FBI badge, but how much questions should I have been concerned the FedEx man was asking that many questions about my house and who the residents and who lived there?
Yeah, in some ways it's useful for him to have some general knowledge because he knows where to bring things and who to give them to. But also, I don't fucking know you.
I don't know you, and it's really nosy, and I don't want you to know, it's for security measures. I'm not saying, this is, special ops or things, but just for general safety, I don't like them to know,
details.
I will say this, I don't let the FedEx guy, but I'll tell everybody on my podcast to know that there are houses here. We have alarm systems and lots of guns and dogs and giant dogs. But each house has one woman in it right now. And I did not want the FedEx man to know that there's in this house is one woman and this house is another woman. So it's just there's really big dogs in that house. They're huge. I was they're friendly-ish, but they're really big, large.
They're only friendly if we want them to be.
Yeah. Well, I kind of feel like those dogs do, like, one of them is a pit bull and one of them is a giant wolf. So I'm pretty sure if they were someone was hurting one of us, we would be okay. So that's what I'm saying to the podcast world. Our dogs will, But anyhow, that was my exciting things for the week. So, yeah, and then I'm
creepy
getting... Creepy FedEx guy. I'm glad I have a lot of cameras. But now I'm going to be watching the cameras all the time. And UPS still didn't come to the other house, and now I'm missing my wine shipment.
Damn it.
And they won't be able to deliver it after I leave because there won't be an adult here. Oh. Also, podcast world, you don't need to know that.
You have to, it's very specific rules. That's fine. Yeah.
No.
We're friends with one of our delivery guys now, and he's really sweet. And he gives like the dogs go out on the front porch and like greet him, and he carries treats. He's ready.
See, but that's smart, right? Like, I'm gonna get to know your dog. I'm gonna be nice to them. That way, I don't have to deal with them being jerks to me.
But I don't know his name. And Dave thinks he knows it. So now it's like this whole thing, and I'm like, fuck. Now it's like,
does he not have a name tag on his shirt?
No,
that's rude.
I know. So now it's a thing because we really like him. He's really nice, and like him. And
does it say who it was delivered by on your receipt?
I'll have to check.
What delivery service?
UPS.
Okay,
UPS
he will
guy.
be delivering something to your house tomorrow.
Are
you staying home from work? Are you working from home tomorrow? Okay, so you will be working from home tomorrow. So your mission is to find out his name. And honestly, it's not that rude to be like, dude, I'm terrible with names. I don't want to be an asshole. What's your name?
Yeah. I'll have to do that when Dave's not standing there. So I'll throw him under the bus. But yes, that's my goal.
Why would Dave know his name either?
Because they like talk.
Oh.
But they're guys, so it's fine. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, it's
I don't know. I would also check your receipt to see who was delivered by.
That's a good
idea.
I
feel like they probably wouldn't do that for security.
Probably not. I don't know.
So many security tips. That's what AI is going to think this is about. Not
security tips.
Security.
Personal security.
Hire me. I'll give you, you can pay me money. And I'll give you all sorts of tips about what's safe and not safe. You know what? All right. So now, anything else you want to say? Okay. So now let's talk about this episode. Inside man. So an inside man this is according to Supernatural Wiki, an inside man is someone who helps with the execution of a crime by working inside the target. The episode title, Inside Man, probably refers to the 2006 movie Inside Man about a bank heist directed by Spike Lee. This was season 10, episode 17, and it first aired April 1st, 2015. It was directed by Rashad Ernesto Green. This was his first episode to direct for SPN, and he'll do one more next season. Born in the Bronx, he went to Dartmouth, got his master's degree from NYU. According to Wikipedia, while completing his graduate studies, he decided to become a director instead. He attributed this decision partly to his frustration with the typecasting of Black actors as drug dealers and criminals on television, and his desire to change the industry. He wrote and directed the short film Choices in 2009, which was screened at the Sundance Film Festival. In 2011, he directed his debut film Gun Hill Road. In 2019, he directed the romantic drama film Premature, starring Zora Howard. And he subsequently directed both feature films and television series, including Grimm, Vampire Diaries, The Quad, Vita, Luke Cage, Proven Innocent, Looking for Alaska, and The Shy. He's also ridiculously attractive. He could be an actor if he wanted to be. This was written by Andrew Dabb, who we last saw this season in episode 9, The Things We Left Behind. Before that, episode 2, Reichenbach. So we're starting off with a seance.
Yes, and we have Sam and Cass at a seance with some old dude, and Dean is not there. And the lights flicker, and we hear The Gambler by Kenny Rogers. And we cut to fucking Bobby Singer reading a book with a glass of whiskey.
Yeah, and they do a really great shot here. They start off with the flames are shooting out of the candles, and then they use that fire to then cut to the fireplace burning. And then while Kenny Rogers is playing, like at first it's like a pair of socks. And then it's whiskey. And then it's a book. And in the book, you see that it says, storytelling, which is Tori Spelling's biography or autobiography, and it's written out. So you see what she did there because it's Tori Spelling, and so the way that it reads is storytelling. It's really good.
Yeah, and we hear Sam's voice cut through Kenny's singing to ask Bobby for help. What?
Need your help, Bobby?
And then it says 24 hours earlier. So
we go back in time
to the bunker where Sam gets woken up in the middle of the night by Dean having a night terror calling out for him. And Dean's nightmare we see is his flashback to Kane telling him that he's going to kill all the people that he loves, including Sam, including his brother. That's where his story's going to end.
Yep, and he is sweating through those sheets. And I feel you. Like, oh, it's so gross. And, like, now he's going to have to wash them before he hits the road.
And yes.
Yeah, but it's always nice. I always make sure I wash them before I go on the road so I can come back to clean sheets because that's nice.
It's the best.
And I've just bought new sheets, like, for the first time in a while. So, like, I'm going to have washed, like, brand new sheets to come home to. That'd be great. So... Besides thinking about his brother being dead and Dean killing him, Sam is upset and makes a call.
Yeah. So in the morning, Dean's like, oh, yeah, Sam, I totally slept like a drunk baby. But Sam's like, that's nice. There's no cases. So what are we going to do? And Dean's like, oh, we'll have a fucking snow day. We'll get drunk and shoot shit. And Sam's like, we kind of do that all the time.
But that's a fun thing that they do.
But that sounds fun.
Let's get drunk and shoot shit in the bunker. I mean, if I have my own shooting range in my bunker, I mean, and you've got like that garage full of cars, and you can go look in the archives, which is what I would do. I'd be like, let's go look at drunk. They're like, wait, stop. We're not going to go look at the archives again. I'm like, there's something in there.
I just feel like they're not taking full advantage of their situation. But whatever. Sam says he wants to go see some French movie, which Dean is clearly not interested in. So Sam is going to go alone to Wichita.
Yeah. Well, and Sam keeps elaborating on it, right? And Dean just keeps falling for it. Because at first he's like, well, I would be interested in it if it was a nudie French movie. And then Sam's like, well, it's kinda. It's about a mime that's secretly a cockroach. And then Dean's like, oh, okay, maybe I don't want to go see that. And he just really believes that it's a movie about a mime and a cockroach.
Yeah. When clearly Sam just doesn't want Dean to go.
Yeah. I mean, it was like, if you're dumb enough to think that's real. So he's like, okay, I'll get some me time. And Sam is actually going to go see Dean's boyfriend. And he goes behind his back to go see Cass.
Yeah. And it's crazy. So he is going to pick up Cass, and they're going to be like, oh, Dean's getting worse. Charlie's radio's silent, and everything's a dead end. This is our last shot. And that's what they're talking about. So that's our little hint that Cass and Sam are conspiring to try to fix Dean. But we cut to hell because Crowley walks in on Rowena naked, painting sigils all over herself.
I mean, sometimes just how you get ready, right? I mean, you just gotta get your body paint on. And it's really kind of rude when your son walks in and doesn't knock. And he's just like, look, you haven't annoyed me for days after weeks of nattering, so clearly you are up to something. And she is up to something. And she says it's Trent, and he's an assistant manager at Bickerson, and he needs to mind his own business. By the way, he's got really big arms. Men are so stupid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So she opens her witchy box as Crowley leaves.
Yeah, she's got a box with a fun knife and other things under her bed. I mean, who doesn't have that fun box under their bed?
I mean, well, on that note,
in the bunker.
Yeah, Dean is back in. Dean's still in the bunker hanging out, and he's on the phone, and he's offering to assist other hunters, and da-da-da-da-da. But he's lying about how he's fantastic. And did he put his toothbrush under his arm? Yeah, he's real weird. I don't know. He's just
what?
Not paying attention. It's what?
What? I don't know. I mean, okay. So that happened, and then we go to the playground.
We go to the playground. This is a bounce around. We're going to bounce around between.
Yeah, we do a lot.
Sam and Cass on their side quest. Dean are farting around at the fucking bunker, and Crowley and Rowena. This is our bounce around. But at the playground, our guardian angel guy at the, like, not like a guardian angel, but the angel that happens to be guarding the portal, he's like, hey, Castiel, by the way, you're not allowed upstairs anymore. Sorry. And then we get some crazy body swap action because Hannah decides to knock this other angel out and pop in so she can talk to Castiel
face to face. And she said she would never possess another vessel again. So that's what Hannah has been doing, right? So since she's not in a vessel upstairs, what is she like? That's the thing that they keep them in like so vessel form, like when they're up there. But so I guess theoretically, though, in canon land, she has been up there without a vessel, but now she's come back down to while her regular Hannah's body is off with her husband.
With her husband, yeah.
So that happens. But anyway, so she's just like, look, you motherfuckers, I know what you're trying to do. You want to take Metatron out, and the only way he's gonna get out is like, the only way he's gonna tell you shit is if you let him free, and we can't let him out because he's fucking Metatron. Stop letting Metatron out.
Yeah, not gonna do it. And she's like, sorry,
that's not what we were gonna do.
And obviously it's what they were going to fucking
totally
do.
We're going to do.
Definitely what they were going to fucking do. And she's like, sorry, but whatevs. And Castiel's pissed, but Sam notices that they are fucking surrounded by angels and there is not a way out. So they have to leave. So now Sam's like, cool, now we have to break Metatron out instead of like just going up and pulling him out. Like, what were they just going to have to break him out anyways?
They're going to have to break him out anyways. Like,
so
how are you, like, what? Whatever. Oh, so anyhow. So
everyone's going to hand him over. Duh.
Yeah. So then we go down to Hell, and Rowena is talking to this dude who is the operator of Hell's Switchboard, which is the title of my next album. He's damned and a conscientious worker, which is the title of my next sex tape.
So she wants to know where the Winchesters kept Crowley last year because she knows that he made a call from there so that the switchboard dude should be able to track it.
With his Microsoft Surface tablet. Stop trying to make Surface happen.
And he's like, yeah, I should be able to. He calls her Queen Mother. But then he's like, ooh, there's some interference. I can only get you in a 10-mile radius. And she's like, close enough. And she'll take it. So near the bunker, Dean has gone to the bar. And he stops himself from calling Sam and gets some delicious looking fucking nachos.
Yeah, which are called the Hervé Villechaises, which is the guy who played Tattoo on Fantasy Island.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing that those are the nachos.
That is weird.
I don't know what he was Knick-Knack in The Man with the Golden Gun. I don't know. So I don't know why they're nachos, but now I want crappy bar nachos.
They look good. They look real good.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, and he's got a beer, but there's some college douches playing pool and betting on it. And he cannot resist. They think that he is, quote, blitzed, but take up his challenge for $20 anyways. And we all know that Dean is going to hustle these motherfuckers.
Yeah, because he can't help himself. He just
he can't.
I couldn't either. So, and then look at them. They just look like they need money taken from them. They just do. So then Sam is walking down the street and he's telling Cass about this kid psychic named Oliver Price from the 1950s. Mm-hmm. And he used to perform in carnivals in Atlantic City. And all I can think about is Colin Robinson as a kid child and What We Do in the Shadows, like dancing. And I'm like, oh my God, this kid psychic would be really popular among vampires. But that's also how I'm imagining this act go.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So I did a quick search and I couldn't find any. I'm sure I had enough side quests today. I didn't have time to go into huge side quests. I did not see anything right off the bat that said anyone actually was a child psychic. If you were, slide into my DMs.
Well, apparently he was also training with the Men of Letters up until they all got fucking slaughtered in the 50s. So, and Sam's just like so sure this guy's going to be stoked to see them, except that his house has a giant fence around it that says like, stay away, no trespassing.
Yeah, it looks almost abandoned. And when they get to the door, Cass wants to break it down. Like, I'm helping. And Sam's like, stop helping.
Oh my gosh,
stop helping, Castiel.
Stop helping. Just knock. And so Oliver opens the door and he's like, oh, great. Sam Winchester. You're a man of letter. Great. And oh, Castiel, what the fuck are you? He's like, I'm an angel. And I like that Oliver's response is, you can't be because I'm an atheist.
Yeah. And it is really clever and funny. And Sam's just like, not anymore. So they go inside and you can see the awesome poster for him as a child. It's so good.
So cool. His posters were rad.
Yeah, I would have them up everywhere too.
Fuck yeah. But he doesn't like performing. He doesn't like to go anywhere because as a mind reader, all he can hear is people yapping. That sounds really fucking annoying.
Yeah, and it's like, did the men of because they were exploded by Abaddon, were they going to teach him how to like shut off like his thoughts, and then they just died, and so poor guy. So yeah, but the good thing is that Cass's thoughts are just colors, but the hippie. Inside the hippie's head, because that's what Sam's fucking hair looks like right now. Get a fucking haircut, Sam. He's not gonna. So all he sees in his head is some creep ass hobbit looking fella in a prison cell.
I wrote that down too. Creep ass hobbit looking fella. Boom. Okay. Meta. And he's also shocked that there is a jail in heaven.
No.
Which is fair.
That's a reasonable thing to be shocked at. Why would heaven need a prison? So what happens if you say no to breaking someone out? And then Sam tells them that you're the mind reader, and then it's just this wonderful like back and forth like shots. Like I think it was just one continuous shot, but it's just like the faces in between each other, like looking like him reading Sam's mind, and then Cass's colors, and he was just like, cool.
There's very threatening in this one.
Yeah.
Sam and Cass
Sam gets threatening.
Yeah,
he's done some shit for Dean. Remember, who's the demon? Was it Dean or like Sam killing all those people and demons to get to Dean? Anyways, so we go from there back to the bar.
And Dean has lost this round of pool and is going to play again, but this time instead of for $20, not $100, not $200, let's play for $300. And so he's going to hustle these quote Abercrombie rejects. Yeah, and the main guy is not happy, doesn't have enough money, even with his daddy's watch. And so there we go.
Yep. Then we go back to our seance, and Price needs something of the deceased. And so Sam takes out Bobby's hat.
Oh. And so he starts his
now he tells him to shut up and hold hands. Title of my next sex tape.
That's a good one. I like that one. So he starts his chant, whatever you want to call
summoning. It's a summoning.
There we go. And that says where we go back to where we started the episode, and we hear Sam's voice cut through into Bobby's heaven. So back at the bar, Dean has just run the table on this fucking kid and collects his money and the watch and goes to the bathroom. And while he is in the restroom, Rowena has appeared at the bar, and Dean is washing his face. I don't know what he's doing in this bar bathroom, but he's
refreshing himself, which is actually it is a tactic, it's a technique, and one of the many things that I read of you about things that are supposed to calm your anxiety. Cold water will actually help your body de-stress itself. So maybe he's self-soothing and he just doesn't know. But he's refreshing his face to be like, okay, I'm done with this. But he blinks.
And he's got demon eyes.
Uh-oh.
We get demon eyes.
Why'd that happen?
Not supposed to. Not supposed to happen, but they don't come back. So, back at the seance, Sam has filled Bobby in on what's up.
Yeah, I want to know how long that TLDR took, right?
Yeah, but he's leaving.
How much are you telling Bobby about? Because the last time I saw him was when his little soul was bing, 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 bing around, and went away. So he does they have talked since he's died.
Yeah. But he's glad everybody's taking care of each other, but he's also like, so we need to get this mark off of Dean. Let's talk to Dean. And so they they have clearly left out the part that Dean is not involved in this conversation. And Sam is like, so he's not in a good place right now. And so that's why he's not here. And Cass is like, yeah, this is the plan. You just got to escape your heaven, find the gate to Earth, and open it up so that we can come in and find Meta.
And I think this is, one of the, I love constructions of heavens and places and other things like that, so the fact that now we know that everyone's got we knew this before, that you have a private paradise, but there is a gate to Earth that you can get to within the paradise, which I think is cool.
Yeah, I also like Bobby's line here, though. He's like, do you remember when this job was just chopping up Fang and tossing back a cold one? I was like, oh,
yeah. Things got a lot complicated in season 10. Okay. So, and then he wants to know if anyone's going to be looking for him. And they're like, well, everyone, because angels don't like souls just wandering around. They just, Bobby's like, well, how are we going to distract him? And Sam's like, I figured you'd figure it out.
Yeah, just figure it out.
You always do, right, man? Sure. Like, just go.
Well, back at the bar,
which is just rude. Like, which means we have no idea. We just figured he would ask you to do this for me, and you would figure it out. Okay, bye.
Yeah, on your own. Mm-hmm. So at the bar, Dean has come out of the bathroom, and the bar is now empty and quiet, except for Rowena, and he calls her an evil skank. And
he says, what's a nice girl doing like you in a place like this? And he's like, did I say nice girl? I meant evil skank. In which I'm like, yay. And she's like, you say that like it's an insult, because it's not. And it's not an insult if you call me an evil skank. I will say it with pride. And then Rowena says that nice girls are pathetic. Here's to evil skanks. And then everybody toasts.
Yeah. Well, then the college kids that he just beat at pool attack him, and they've got blood pouring out of their eyes. And Dean's fighting this kid, but he stops himself from killing him. And he's flashing back to times that he's lost control and killed people recently.
Montage.
Yeah, it's very montagey.
Yeah, I'm really glad my flashbacks don't come in montages. That seems like it would give you a migraine.
Yeah, it seems very stressful. So then
but
the
I
other
wonder if it has
like
if he has a song to it, like while it's going.
Oh, then it'd be worth it. Yeah. Right?
Like a workout song or something,
Yeah. Yeah, like a montage with a soundtrack. Yeah. I'm in.
Yeah.
But just like a montage, like flashback.
Which would probably be better than it just being like silent things flipping through your head, right? So anyway, so he has that, and he stops himself from killing Prince Valium there. And then like more guys come and they fight with pool balls, and like that seems excessive.
Armed with billiards equipment. All of them.
Yeah, like hitting somebody with a pool ball really hurts. Don't do it.
It looks painful.
Yeah. So then Rowena takes off her coat, and she's like, "Check out my titties." No, she's showing off her new fate tattoos, her henna tattoos, and she starts the Gaelic obliteration spell. And then she says, "That's what Gaelic sounds like to me." I'm just kidding.
Gaelic obliteration spell.
That's what they called it on one of the supernatural wikis. Is the Gaelic obliteration spell, and the Gaelic roughly translates to all spirits, listen to me, destroy this man, destroy him to ashes. According to the wiki, the user must paint their body with various Gaelic sigils, particularly on upper chest and arms, which is why you've got to wear, either a tank top or a sleeveless dress. To obliterate the target, Gaelic verses must be recited. After the incantation, the sigils will emit blinding violet rays. If cast properly, the body of the target will be reduced to ashes. So, much like talking about those spells and people being reduced to ashes, sometimes stories, which is, I don't know. We're going to lore.
Lore.
I couldn't make that. I wanted to reduce to ashes. Couldn't go into a thing. But all right. So we are continuing our story of Rosaleen Norton, the Witch of King's Cross, aka Rory. And just we're going to be doing this for a few episodes where Rowena pops in, who's coming through the season. So we'll be highlighting this witch, and mainly because her story is so long and she was in court a lot. And I just think that's really interesting. And all her cases are fascinating. And so, yeah, let's jump into it. So Rowie and her boyfriend Gavin. So we're going to 1949. So we're in Australia. Crikey. And her boyfriend Gavin is 10 years younger than her. They say that in everything because they're just like, oh my gosh, this 30-year-old is fucking a 20-year-old. This probably wasn't great because he had a lot of mental problems and she probably shouldn't have been doing this. But, whatever. So she and Gavin hitchhiked from Sydney to Melbourne to find a venue where she could hold her first art exhibition. They arranged for the University of Melbourne, where 46 of her paintings, including Timeless Worlds, Merlin, Lucifer, and The Initiate, were put on exhibition. On July 31st, 1949, I would say kind of her banter, she really leverages the media. And I want to talk about, with all of these cases that she ends up going to court for, I think all kind of serve her with publicity. So even though we're about to talk about a obscenity and censorship case, but it's still also the fact that from an artistic standpoint, it's not really a bad thing. Like, she was building her brand as as being notorious, really taking advantage of being in the press. So she knows she's going to have this exhibition in Melbourne, right?
Okay.
And it's going to start on August 1st. So on July 31st, an article was published in the Daily Telegraph in Sydney, and that was titled 150 Yoga Needed for Artist Show. Rosaleen told the paper that about 150 Melbourne people, including 40 psychiatrists and 10 occultists, were invited to her show, and she needed all of them to go into a yogi dream if they wanted to understand the pictures. Because she painted them in a trance, either lying on the floor or sitting on a chair. She preferred lying on the floor, but she basically goes into a wild dream, and her paintings are the best descriptions of those. And if you ask her how other people understand them, they also have to go into a yogi dream and listen. That's the best way. So, which I think, if you do that at an art show at university, sometimes people question you, but whatever. She told all these people to go to a show, go into a trance. And I just loved the 1950s terminology for, astral projection, other things like this. Right. So it was very Eastern influence, and they were really big into India at this time. Right. So that's why there's a lot of yogi trances. So the show was open for 2 days before a young woman complained to the police. Probably more people had already complained to this, but she's been out getting press, wanting people to come to this. So it is complained to the police that it's obscene. A Carlton detective examined the pictures for half an hour. Rosaleen herself didn't think they were obscene, at least not according to her standards. Artistic standards are always different from accepted standards of obscenity, said Miss Norton. So 4 paintings were then removed from the exhibit by the Melbourne police. She was charged under Section 171C of the Police Offences Act 1928, which relates to a person who, for the purpose of gain, sells or exhibits any obscene article or assists therein. And she becomes the first woman to be charged under that law in Australia. So where to break that glass ceiling? You go, girl. Yeah. So she was served a summons to appear before the Carlton court on August 10th. The 4 drawings were held under tight security at the police headquarters until then. They are kept under locking. I'm sure. I just imagine these cops being like, "Can I go see the paintings?" They all were. They're like, "Hey,
Giggling.
hey, all right, crikey, Bob. Yeah, all right, let's sit right get at that." Or whatever they say. So, Norton didn't show on the 10th, and they adjourned the court until August 19th. So, according to one of the papers, long-haired and weirdly dressed youths, university professors, and identities in Melbourne's art world crammed to Melbourne courts, and then an art exhibition on Friday. I love that description. long hair and weirdly dressed youths. Also title of my next sex tape. So she was...
There's a lot of sex tapes that you've got in the queue now.
I must be stopped. All right. I've got to make an income somehow. This is my new OnlyFans. All right. So she was defended by A.L. Abrahams, who argued that the images in the recently published The History of Sexual Magic, a book that the Australian censors permitted, were of a far more obscene nature than Norton's paintings. Abraham said that the students did not need the court's protection against Rosaleen Norton's art. Their own mental capacity to examine what they saw was sufficient. Nothing was obscene in vacuo. It was only obscene in the minds of those it was said to imperil. Quote, we have to cater for people with normal reactions to sex, not morons, the subnormal, and neurotics. The act under which this prosecution is launched is based on a case heard during Queen Victoria's reign in 1868. The only people who could act as censors were experts in the working of the human mind, Mr. Abraham said. So again, we're looking at an obscenity case in Australia in basically the start of the 1950s, right? 1949. But they're using 1928 law, and then he's arguing that law was founded in Queen Victoria's England, and the only people who understood sex and morality then were like experts, right? It's just like nobody understood anything then. But I just think it's funny, like how I can hear somebody making that argument today, right? Just like doing something else, be like, well, this was made then. So lawyers. So Mr. Abraham said that even Gulliver's Travels have been declared obscene and banned at times. It was impossible to say whether a person's behavior was caused by something he had seen. The law relating to obscenity in Australia was hard to define. A book or picture might offend one person's sense of decency so much that he would want to rip it up, while to another person it might be simply bad taste or bad art. Mr. A.J. Baird, legal assistant to the police department, said that university students were open to immoral influence by Miss Norton's pictures. They were sexually offensive to morality. The court must decide whether the pictures tended to deprave or corrupt the mind of these students. His name is Aird. Is that Mr. A.G.B. Aird? And I that's just a lot of initials. I thought it was Baird, but it's Aird. And that's also a weird name. So that's not to shame you, Mr. Australian Aird, who's probably dead by now. So he said, though, that everyone was in the universe was open to immoral influence, and that applied to people in Victoria. So the court is taking advice from the legal assistant to the police department. And his opinion is that everybody in the universe can like become immoral if they see a dirty painting, especially people at the university. At least that's how I interpret
That's his legal opinion.
That's what the legal assistant said.
Noted.
So, all right. Then the warden, which I think is the Australian version of a dean. Obviously, they're wardens in prisons, but he was the warden for the university. And ChatGPT told me that it was kind of like a dean, but that was ChatGPT. So then we have he is Mr. R.R. Babar, and
what?
His name is Mr. R.R. Babar.
Sounds like a Muppet.
I know. Well, yeah, I mean, probably. So he was the warden at the school, right? So he said that Norton arranged with him for the exhibition. And she had told him that she had exhibited in Sydney and Adelaide before that, and they were fine with everything. So she was given permission to hold a show for 3 weeks starting August 1st. I'm never entirely sure if that... Because this is said to kind of be like her first... I know it's her first exhibit in Melbourne. I don't know if she had exhibited other places before, but it's 1949. She's 30. So she's probably had other shows. But they didn't have as much publicity as this, I guess. Or it wasn't in court. So, but the warden did not feel competent to express his opinion on the art, but he didn't see anything sexually exciting in them. Mr. Babar added that only people with free access to the Roden White Library were students and past students, university academic staff, and their friends, so no one would be under 17. So he's just like, these are all grown-ups anyways. Like, they can make their own opinion about what they're seeing in these paintings, right?
Yeah.
So that was awarded. Then one of the detectives, Detective Olson, he testified that Miss Norton told him, no painting is meant meant to represent any real life figure, but are simply symbols, cosmic forces of cultism and occultism, a hidden or secret side of all religion. And we're going to talk about these paintings. I'm going to maybe have you try and describe some of them to our audience. But so she described the paintings to Olson, and the first one, number 2, Triumph, she said was the fight between the two sides of nature, symbols of life and form on one side, of chaos and destruction and unbalanced force on the other. Balanced force personified by hermaphroditic union of the two principles. So we're sharing my screen, and hopefully we're going to share the right one. Yeah, okay. So Diana, so this, and to be fair, I'm showing you a colored version of this. I think this may have been a print drawing. A pencil drawing. Okay. She ended up using these themes throughout other works. So we'll expand on some of these next week. So this is Triumph.
Okay. And so we've got some spheres with some fangs in them on one side.
Yeah. Oh no. So there's you can see there's kind of, you can't see what there's in the bottom sphere. There's a demon sitting in it, and he's got some claws in there. So here's where you're seeing her fangs. There's a demon with claws in the bottom sphere. So I think each of the spheres have got demons in them.
And then you've got some faces in the background. It looks kind of like a phoenix at the top. And then we've got a figure that has what appear to be breasts and a penis, standing on a golden sphere with a diamond between their legs.
Yep, and on that golden sphere, I don't know if you can probably see it. It looks like there's a person in there, but it's oh no, there's a person holding on to another person. They may be boning.
They might be boning. That might and Saturn's in the background, and there's Saturn in the background.
Yeah. So, but of things that I'm just trying to think of in terms of obscenity, right? Again, we all know that these things are going to be subjective, and this is part of the reason why obscenity laws and censorship are so difficult, because sometimes, defining obscenity is very hard. But in this painting, and we'll share the picture, you can see a penis, and you can see breasts. So if that was something you defined as that, maybe, potentially, right? And it does potentially look like there is some sexual intercourse going on, but there's no DMP action going on.
That's implied.
It's implied. And, her point being that these are symbolic figures, right? And they're not I don't know. I think it's interesting. That's the point that she's making, right? That I don't know what difference that makes in an obscenity law, whether or not it's a direct representation of a person, porn, photographic version of someone doing a sexual act, which she will get charged for later. But in this case,
if it's an artistic representation,
if it's an artistic or a symbolic thing, or if this is religion, right? Which is what she's also saying, is this is all representative of a religion too. So that's true. All right, so that was our first one.
Okay.
Our second one is going to be Lucifer, the legend of the fallen angels, how she describes this one. Lucifer represented intellect, and we're going to see, she says, the four combined aspects of the self: Lucifer, that which can be illuminating or used for evil purposes; the falling angel, yet bright. Professor Marguerite Johnson said Rosaleen depicted Lucifer according to this mythology, not worshiping him as the devil, but acknowledging him as humankind's adversary. He reminds while we're here, and thereby operates as a psychic gauge that curtails ego. So it's very deep. So I'm going to show you this next picture. Is that big enough for you to see?
I think so.
Okay. So what do we have here in this drawing?
We have another winged creature, her figure that has appears to have breasts and a penis, standing with a mask in its hand. Yeah, and they're very elvish. I say that, no, that's applying I know what our interpretation would be, but all of the figures are kind of elvish. They've got kind of elongated facial features. So I guess
pointy ears, pointy eyebrows, lots of pointy noses, and the mask that the winged creature is supposed to be Lucifer, right? Yeah. And the mask that they're holding is kind of like a demon's mask, but also kind of looks like a drama comedy mask.
Yeah. And it's standing over two creatures. One of them kind of looks like light, and one has elk antlers?
Yeah, they're elk antlers, and they're great. Like, these are fun
and a horn.
horns. Like,
he's playing a horn with elk horns.
Right. And I appreciate, like, I just really appreciate those horns. They're not what you would expect, right? The antlers, like, normally, I think also because we're so used to, or at least I am, the demonic horns being more goat-like.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's such an image that we're used to. And then being like elk antlers is just adorable.
Yeah.
So again, like, as far as, the bottom figures, they're naked, they're nude, but they're not, I mean.
Is there a lion trying to eat one of them butts?
Yeah, I think that's like, maybe like, it kind of looks like the Chinese lions almost a little bit. But I think maybe it's supposed to be a demon eating her butt. And like with like taking a bite
not
out
like
of her
eating,
ass.
not eating ass, like trying to like chomp.
Trying to chomp on it. Yeah. So it's got some pretty strong teeth on it. And then, there's another like little ghost figure at the top too in the left corner. I'm just kind of floating there. And like some hands and things going on. So, I mean, yeah, there's some titties and some dicks, but they're not like, I mean, they're kind of flaccid dicks. Like, they're not, like.
They ain't banging.
Yeah, I mean, like, to me, if you're okay, like, if Michelangelo has the same kind of dick showing, right? Like, I'm not seeing.
It's more like figure work as opposed to erotic work.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm not, I think what that warden said about, like, I'm not really seeing anything sexual here. Like, I'm seeing an allegory and, someone's trying to tell, like, things and, maybe she's, like, a little horny, but it's not, like, sexy time, right? It's kind of almost to me, like, I mean, and that's, like, I think she's a great artist, but in, like, in terms of level of sexiness, I would say, like, 15-year-old boy level sexiness, like, drawing his first comic. This is obviously much more, like, better well done than that. But that's just what I'm saying for sense of that. All right. Our next one, number 18, individuation. The foremost figures at the bottom represented the subconscious mind or state of subconsciousness, the figure ego rising into superconsciousness, the objective or outer world in the background. And Dr. Johnson said this was based on her study of Jung, and the title was from his term for psychic unity or inner wholeness. And this one really reminds me of what's her name from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes. For sure.
Insert that here. But it definitely has, but really can tell, like, this is like, it feels like a dead on inspiration for it. Just, she's got the pointy, like the pointiness and just, I don't know. There's just something that's very evocative of that. So nothing is real or new.
Is it Mantis?
Mantis. Yes, that's right.
Mantis. Yes. Only with the chicken feet.
Yeah, we got some chicken feet going on here. We appreciate that. There's some symbols and stuff in the background. There's there's a spider. Yeah. There's some onks. There's some stars of David. There's some infinity symbols.
It's like a city skyline. Yeah.
Yeah, city skyline. There's like a snake. I mean, this could be, I don't think the snake is the snake eating its tail. That's possibly, it's that symbol of the snake. Yeah, that's happening. There's some skulls on there too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
a lot of symbols, just a lot of symbols.
A lot of symbols, things writing out. I can see this as being Jungian. And she's got something like kind of like she's got kind of they have breasts. They kind of have there's kind of like they're kind of there's breast forms, and then there's something sort of like there's a penis like genitalia but that's kind of squiggly.
Appendage. There's an appendage.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is.
It's kind of like it
could be.
It looks like a tentacle.
Yeah.
Also, well, I mean, this is also, kind of reminiscent of, pre like manga and anime too, like, like tentacle dicks and stuff. So again, kind of graphic, but not, honestly, you have to look for that. Like you really have to look for it.
Yeah. It's like, so not realistic and it's not like sexualized. It's just there.
Yeah, no, this really looks like someone who ate a bunch of acid and then, which is, she goes into trances and does stuff. And this is, I think, pre her acid time because this is 1949. Acid was not widely available. But I mean, it was just like someone got high and then drew what was in their, what they thought ego was.
Yeah.
And they're letting it go.
Yeah.
All right. And so our last one, number 20, Witch's Sabbath, which was later retitled as Black Magic.
Of course.
Just a symbolic picture portraying medieval demonology, right? And they're really into this one. So there's a female figure that represents a witch, and then there's a panther that is a power of darkness. And the panther, she said, merely represents the power of darkness of night, and its embrace with the female representing a witch is merely symbological. That word, I wrote the word wrong, which is why I can't say it right. It's spelled wrong in my script. It's symbolic of the initiation of the witch into the infernal mysteries. So this is like kind of the one that they brought up the most, because there is a panther embracing a woman. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, that one's cool as hell.
Yeah, it's a really
snake around it.
Yeah.
There's a snaky snake. There's demons with titties. We got freaking chick that doesn't even look like a chick because she's like blue and has like hooves or something.
Yeah, I mean, she's got elvish, going back to the elfish thing, right? Elfish. Yeah. And on the painting, she's blue, and she's got goat hooves. She's just got some titties, and but I mean, she like, and the panther's kind of got like his claw on her butt, which I do like. That's like this feels like the cover of a shapeshifter book, like a paranormal romance. Like, I can see this. Yeah. I can see this like this happening. But there's a snake coming around him, and it comes up with the cool titties are also like eyes, which is neat. There is some demonology references, like the demon on the bottom.
Yeah,
like his face though is kind of like in a star, which is cool. And there's the woman's like hand is pointing at something. And she's got a scepter. She's got a scepter on it. And the ball on it.
Arms.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a cool painting and
cool color study.
I mean, I could see this is again I can see in middle school boys taking this book out and being like, titties, right?
Yeah.
That is kind of the level of obscenity I'm seeing here. I mean, so, and granted,
this doesn't even look like people.
Yeah, I mean, they're like she said, right? They're symbolic representations. They're not direct things. This is, about, it's art, and it's not, it's also, I mean, the guy who is just like, this could make you immoral. What is it going to make you want to go out and start Frenching into Panther? I mean, I kind of want to French like Panther. Like, I know it's not going to end well, but I mean,
it's not the painting's fault.
The Panther's sexy, but it's not the painting's fault. The Panther's hot, right? I mean,
the Panther was already hot.
Yeah, that was just a Panther itself, So, I mean,
just Panther doing Panther things.
It's a Panther being a Panther, and
oh my gosh.
There is also, and we're gonna, we'll go back to
Lily Munster is the question.
She, in her future, she does bring up that she really liked the Munsters, but the Munsters weren't out yet at this point, right? So maybe this was inspiration for that. I think really, I think looking at this and seeing how this has found its way down into pop culture is really cool. But all right, so let's talk about what ends up happening with this trial.
Yeah.
So Detective Olson, again, like I said, was when he interviewed Rosaleen, he told there's so much she said that Rosaleen told him that the object of her exhibition were to exhibit her work and sell some of the paintings, which I feel like is probably the goal of most artists when they have a gallery showing.
Yeah.
So also then
generally.
Yeah, Mr. Addison, who's abbreviated SM, which apparently means a stipendiary magistrate, which is a type of a magistrate in the British court system who is a paid, qualified legal professional, unlike lay magistrates who are volunteers. So apparently in English courts, sometimes people just volunteer to be judges. But so in Australian court, they have this SM, and he's basically the judge for this trial.
Okay.
He accepts of submission by her counsel that the 4 pictures had to be seen in context, right? That a wrong impression was gained looking at them at dirt for dirt's sake. You can't just look at these in the police station or in the court. You got to see them in the way they were meant to be displayed.
Right.
So
at the installation.
So Addison says, okay. So he adjourns and they go to the university library and they display the pictures and he inspects them. And he comes back and he dismisses the charges. And he awarded £4 costs against the police department for Miss Norton. Oh. And who was then said, it is ridiculous. My work has been exhibited in Sydney and Adelaide. It has not been declared obscene there. My exhibitions have been opened by very reputable people. But anyhow, so this judge said he went and looked at them in there and he was like, titties. And he's like, it's fine. So it dismissed it. Yeah. So case gets dismissed. They end up, I think they finished with the exhibit, I believe. And then on September 21st, Sir Albert Dunstan sought to have the case reviewed in a higher court. He said he had not seen the paintings, but had been advised that the SM had made his decision on the case. An order to review the court decision could only be obtained where there was an apparent mistake in the law. Mr. Legat, the chief secretary, refused the request to have the case reviewed in a higher court. So the SM, that magistrate dismisses the case because he says it was stupid. Then another guy comes in and is just like, can we have this reviewed because I didn't see the paintings, but I heard they were dirty.
What the fuck?
This is why obscenity cases are stupid. So there's always just those fucking people.
It's like I haven't seen them, but somebody said they were gross. So I really want to look at them really close, and I really want to talk about them. Can I see them?
Yeah. Yeah. The case that we'll talk about next time we come back to Rosalee, we will get to the sex magic, I promise. And So there's 2 cases where I was like, that's 2 cases away where she gets the pictures of her doing sex stuff. I don't know, but there's lots of more pornography charges to come and obscenity charges to come just through her life, and maybe we'll get to an actual witchcraft charge. We don't know. Spells. Ooh. Maybe she'll paint some symbols on her body, and then she'll shake her titties at Dean, and I'll be like, no, it doesn't work. So we're back.
It doesn't.
No.
It doesn't work.
It does not work.
Rowena's spell does not work. And she is like, WTF. And so he's about to Dean's going to cut her throat, but he stops himself and asks what she's doing there. And she says she's saving her son. So this is when Dean finds out that Crowley is Rowena's son.
Crowley.
That Crowley. Yeah. And so anyways, she's pissed because Dean is a good influence on him, and that's why he needs to die. And Dean's like, well, your light show didn't work. And she's like, well, you've got a hero complex because you couldn't kill these motherfuckers, so it's going to fucking get you anyways. And they're going to die anyways because my spell is going to devour them from the inside out like that other chick that you already watched die.
Remember that one? Remember how unpleasant Bly Bleedy was last time? You want to see that again?
It's really sad. So, anyways, yeah.
So, cut back to our seance.
Back to the seance. And this is where Cass explains to Bobby finding his escape hatch. And he quickly finds a thread in the rug. And he pulls that. And when he pulls it, a fucking secret door opens. And it's really cool.
It's really cool. And that wallpaper is also amazing. I was like, can I have that much wallpaper? Kind of like it. So, and then he says, just when I think I'm out, they pull me back in.
And he goes into this super fucking creepy white hallway. I don't like it. It's a white hallway with doors.
But I do love it.
I love it and I hate it.
It's so heaven.
It's variations on Robert Singer on all the doors over time.
Roberto Singer.
Roberto. And
Roberta.
Then we hear an alarm.
I love the one Roberta. That was, yeah.
The one Roberta. And then we hear the alarm sound. So we get a classic Bobby balls.
Then we go back to hell. So we go from heaven to hell, where Rowena is mad.
Pissed. She's pissed. And she is in her room and looks at a blade, and she stumbles into the court all cut up. So she's clearly cut herself up after
Rowena.
returning from Earth.
No one likes a woman who fakes this shit. No, girl. No. So Crowley then says bad things. He's like, did you have a rough day? Ooh, bad Crowley. And then she's like, Dean did it to me. And so he's like, the fuck? And he sends his minions out because he knows shit's about to get messy.
Yeah. And he's like, why the fuck were you anywhere near Dean? And she's like, I was trying to kill him. And Crowley's like, I've been there. Duh.
Never works.
Doesn't work.
He's
and she's
like
the
coyote.
And he's like, was it like he's protected from on high or low? Like maybe from the fucking mark of Cain? Duh. She's like, that can be removed. It's just a curse.
What? And then you're like, wait a minute. It's a curse, and she's a witch. And what do we know about curses? All curses can be removed.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
So, Crowley knows why she went on that suicide mission, but she needs to fucking respect that he has a plan. He's keeping his friends close and his enemies closer. And she's like, what the fuck ever? You don't even care that Dean mutilated me? I'm your mom. And he's like, no.
Yeah. Well, she's like, she's hitting all these manipulation things, right? So she's like, first, you don't care that Dean mutilated your mother. So she's trying to maybe I'll try to see if he cares about that. And then she's like, what if the demons gossip? That'll make you look weak. So maybe he'll care about that. And then maybe you want to show Dean how strong you really are. Be a bloody king.
Mm-hmm. And he's just really kind of not buying into any of it. And so we get a flash to the playground.
To the woods and the pitmobile.
Yeah, where Cass and Sam are waiting and feeling confident. Sam is feeling very confident in Bobby, and Cass is unsure. But Bobby's running through heaven.
Bobby can handle anything.
Yeah, he's running through. He's opening doors, letting all the Roberts out.
So great. I love
Roberts,
it.
Robertos. And so now we have, because he's figured out that he has to create a distraction for the angels. And so that's what he's done, because angels are like, WTF, y'all need to go back to your heavens. And Bobby yells, who made you boss?
Girls.
Who made you boss? And shoves past them. Haha.
Yeah. And there's a mini riot.
It's funny.
Yeah.
It's a Bobby riot.
It's a Bobby riot. Well, we'll get a better version of that in a minute. So at the bar, the Bobby riot is good. So at the bar, Squirrel, Boris, where's Natasha?
Mm-hmm. Well, and Dean's like, are we going to do this? But back in heaven, we've got the angels getting a radio of the best line ever. The Bobbies are fighting back. The Bobbies are surly.
I repeat, the Bobbies are surly. And what's even better is that was the actual Robert Singer providing the voice. The executive producer, Robert Singer, came and provided the voice of that angel, which I think is also fantastic. So Bobby has found door 42.
Yep. And that opens up to the playground, where Sam tackles the guard angel, and Castiel jumps through the portal.
Yeah, he kind of slides into heaven like he's sliding into home.
Yeah, and so Bobby and Castiel are walking around, and Bobby's like, so where the fuck is Dean? And Castiel tries to lie. Then he admits that he doesn't really know where Dean is right now because he's given up. And so Bobby calls them all idiots.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty stupid. And so then we go back to the bar where Dean has told Crowley what really happened.
Yeah. And now Crowley has a really fun tiki drink as normal with a cute little pitchfork in it. And Dean is drinking some whiskey. And Crowley is coming to terms with the fact that his mother is a liar. But she also said that the mark is just a curse that can be removed. Just doesn't know how. And Dean's like, oh, I'm good. And Crowley's like, I'm not sure about that, but okay. But then they discuss, has Crowley gone soft? I think it's an interesting conversation. So Dean's like, he's like, yeah, you have. Maybe it was the human blood. I don't know, but the old Crowley would have come in with demons and hellhounds and blown the roof off of this place. Instead, we're sitting here talking. So, also, I didn't see myself playing Dr. Phil to the King of Hell, but cool.
Yeah. And also, like, why do you let your mommy fuck with you so much, right? And so he starts saying, that we're family and we're blood. And Dean disagrees and tells him that a wise man once told me family don't end in blood. And that was Bobby who said that in season 3, episode 16, No Rest for the Wicked, to Crowley.
Yeah. And he goes on, family is there for you and they've got your back, even when it hurts.
Yeah, and they don't care about what you can do for them. They want to know about what they can do for you. And does that sound anything like your mom? And he's like, I don't think that sounds like my mom at all.
Not really. So, up in heaven, Metatron is grinning at Bobby and Castiel. And Bobby calls him a Fraggle. So now we've got him. He's been called both a Hobbit and a Fraggle in this episode now.
Yeah, and Metatron does think that it was an excellent show, so she is right. Fraggle Rock was amazing, and I still haven't watched the remake, but whatever. So, but
he calls it a compliment.
So he's not interested in whatever Castiel has to offer.
Of course not, and he's not going to help. He's not going to be Dean's punching bag. And Castiel's like, "That's fine. You're going to be my punching bag." And Metatron calls him the B team. And Bobby's like, are we really sure we want to fucking do this? Is this the only way? And Castiel,
I hate this dude. I automatically hate this dude. I don't want to be with him.
Yes, immediately hate this guy. And Castiel says, unfortunately. So Castiel has resigned himself. This tells us, I think, that Castiel has resigned himself that Metatron is their only solution now, too. Anyways.
I still feel like that. Yeah. Anyway, so then we go back through the playground. What Cass and Metatron do. And so Metatron immediately just starts being an asshole, trying to leverage like all his power that he thinks he has. But
he doesn't, because Castiel slices his fucking throat, takes his fucking grace, and Sam shoots him in the fucking leg.
In the knee, which is really funny when I was watching it. It was like, oh man, I bet it's really because Diana had knee surgery. Yeah. So I was like, I bet it's really funny watching someone get shot in the knee right now, or at least you're like had some sympathy. So.
No, but I definitely did a holy shit moment, and also going, fuck Metatron. That was what I said. Because now he will be mortal. He will answer their questions, or Sam will blow his freaking brains out. So. Ta-da! And Metatron's just like, I kind of lied. I don't really know how to get rid of the mark. I just said that. That's a guy God or Lucifer level magic. It's not in the tablets.
Well, I got nothing. When he says it's God or Lucifer magic, and he's like, you can't ask Lucifer. And I'm like, yeah, he's in the cage with your brother Adam. Where the fuck? He's in the cage with your brother Adam. Sorry, I said to bring that up. So,
I know. And they just like gloss over it. And I'm like, huh?
Like, here's another time for you to remember there's another Winchester in there, but nope.
Just let's blow past that. Forget that. We don't need that storyline right now, apparently. But anyways, so yeah, Metatron really didn't know shit. He was just making it all up. But he does know where Castiel's grace is, and so he can do that. It's up to them.
Oh. So then we go back to hell, and Crowley is just like, we're done. Get out.
Pack it up.
I'm not choosing the Winchesters. I'm choosing me.
Because I've been putting up with you, and maybe I did lose my edge, but that ends now. And if I wasn't the king of hell, would you have even pretended to fucking care? I don't take orders from you. And she is pissed. She says, everything you have, I'll watch it burn. And she is shaking and crying, but Crowley gives her 5 minutes and turns. She doesn't want to see her again.
Yeah, I don't think she was crying yet. She was looking like she was trying to not cry until she got to her car. So
like bad bitches cry in the car.
That's yes. And Evil's cakes. So then we go back to the bunker where they start off. Sam and Dean are just lying to each other.
Lying. Dean just played some pool. Sam saw the French movie, Lottie fucking da. But Sam is going to go clean up in the bathroom and pulls a piece of paper out of his pocket. And it's a note from Bobby that Bobby gave to Cass to give to Sam. Aww.
Yep. And then we get Bobby's voice reading over, and Bobby's just kind of like, look, dumbass, like, I didn't get to see you, but, you know, like, stop going behind your brother's back. That never ends good. You're a good guy. I'm proud of you.
Yeah. And it's a lot, but sometimes a lot of bad. And, you know, when you're doing sometimes a little bad to do a lot of good ends up being a lot of bad, and it comes at a price. And we see in the, like, as this letter's being read, we see Castiel and Metatron driving off. We see Rowena walking down the street. But we get the message that Bobby is proud of Sam. Oh.
Yeah, and he was content up in there in his heaven, but getting a call from him was the happiest he's been in forever. And then he says to keep fighting and kick it in the ass, which is Kim Manner's sign off, which is a tribute to him, which is really nice. But then we watch as angels come into Bobby's heaven, and one of them though is still the Hannah in the vessel.
Yeah, I think
so. She went into. See, this is why it gets confusing. So what, they didn't swap back out? She just kept the vessel? And so now that's how Hannah, what?
No, because in that guard, I don't know. It's very confusing. But one of the there's 3 guard angels. I don't know. I don't know if it's her still or not.
I don't know. I think it was. But I don't know. Well, I guess we'll find out next time. Next time in Supernatural, is that Hannah? Who knows? All right, before we get to that, are there any of those angels that you want to tell us about?
Casting couch. It's the casting couch. Were they on that show that time with that guy? La 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 la.
Yeah, we'll talk about some of this cast. We've got, first I want to talk about Oliver Price, was played by Richard Newman. He's been in episodes of MacGyver, 21 Jump Street, Witches of East End, X-Files, and Once Upon a Time. He was Perrault in Call of the Wild, and was a photographer in The Neverending Story 3. But most of his career is actually doing voice work, dating back to the 80s, doing anime. He was also did voice work for Conan the Adventurer series, a whole lot of other cartoons, including into the 90s anime as well, Mobile Wing Gundam, excuse me. Adventures of Madeline, G.I. Joe, Dragon Ball Z into the 2000s. More Gundam there, He-Man and Inuyasha, Transformers, the Godfather video game, and Ninja Go. So a lot of voice work. And that's just the highlight ones. There's a lot more than that. Hannah, our guard angel, not guardian, anyways, was played by Lee Majdoub. He's been in episodes of Bionic Woman, Fringe, Arrow, Unreal, Once Upon a Time, Magicians, Prison Break a few times, and Travelers a few times. He was also Agent Stone in the Sonic the Hedgehog movies, all three movies. Donnie's our bartender, was played by Steve Barron. He's been in episodes of The Flash, iZombie, Good Doctor, and Snowpiercer a couple times. Ty was one of our other, he was our jerk in the bar with the long hair. He was played by Chris McNally. He's been in episodes of Tower Prep, Lucifer, Altered Carbon, and Riverdale. He was also Leonard, a recurring character in Grease, Rise of the Pink Ladies.
I wish he'd been he did a commercial for Abercrombie and Fitch.
No, he's done a lot of Hallmark, if that helps. And then his buddy was, that's what he didn't have a name, was played by Reese Williams, who was a stuntman. So,
also an Abercrombie and Fitch model.
Probably. Yeah. So funny enough, I just ordered some clothes from Abercrombie and Fitch.
No comment. All right.
I know. I can feel the judgment. It's fine. But yeah, so I thought this was a fun episode.
I can smell the Jakar. So, or the Axe body spray. And hear the incense. All right. So you enjoyed. Well, I did. Bobby.
We got a little Bobby action. As much as I hate Metatron, and was getting a little I needed the Rowena story to move. Does that make sense at all? I needed, so having both
you needed
of those,
to get out of hell.
Yeah, man. It was just just her, just watching her manipulate all the time was just getting a little bit exhausting to me. So seeing some progress in that storyline was really helpful. It's a frustrating one because this is the trope of these that happens all the time of we're going to go behind each other's back and save the day, and it always fucking backfires. But I still found the episode enjoyable.
Yeah, I mean, we know that's
clever.
the thing that the Winchesters do all the time.
Yes,
and they never learn.
Never learn. They never learn.
Maybe they will learn their lesson next time.
They won't.
Those meddling kids. Anything else?
Nope. That's
all
all
right.
I know.
Yeah, no. I mean, I loved the idea of Rowena's her little glyphs all over her. Like, but then also if you're painting them, which way do you paint them? Which is the right way?
Was she doing it in the mirror, or did she have to do it
in the mirror? And do they go backwards? Like, what's the correct way? What is the correct direction to put a body glyph on yourself? Maybe we'll find out when we talk about sex magic. I don't know. Because I just like whichever way you're looking at it, is that the right reflection? Oh, maybe you have to go into another portal.
I don't know.
Magic.
A portal.
The portal. All right. To see if Rowena goes into a portal on the next episode. We'll see you then. Cheers, jerk.
Cheers, bitch.
Devil's Trap Podcast is a Don't Get It production. Meow.
Devil's Trap Podcast is part of the Ship It Studios Podcast Network. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Devil's Trap Podcast, Twitter at Devil's Trap Pod, or you can email us at devilstrap@devilstrappodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe, leave reviews, and share with all your friends. We're at all your favorite podcast outlets and at devilstrappodcast.com. I'm Babe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.